So this is the cast and crew, so why don't you go down and introduce yourselves. There you go.
Hi, I'm Tom Cruise.
Yeah!
I wrote and directed the movie. And this swell fella.
My name's Aaron. I was the boom holder. He says sound, but Bob did all the sounds.
I'm April Cheney. I was assistant director.
I'm Brandon Tracy. I was the stunt coordinator, the trainer for the fighting, and another character as well.
I'm Stephanie Rose Cornell, and I played Blake.
My name's Noah, and I played Monk, the guy who likes knives too much.
John O'Deleon, Taz.
My name is Ned Kidd. I played Shiv.
Okay, Shiv, I got it. You look totally different than your character.
I do. The tattoo was real though.
What'd you do to prepare for that character? Because he was definitely a unique individual.
You know, well, Bob told me a story based on a real person that was it college? You knew, but
I can't.
roughly, yeah, like basically just it was, yeah, you know. Someone who's prepared to stab you at a moment's notice, what would that be like? It's like, well,
Yes.
so
Yeah, he was one of those guys who literally was a sociopath. You didn't know if he would hurt you. He'd be laughing one minute and like want to attack you the next, and so that's what made me think of that.
Yeah. Well, and I used to bounce with a guy that wore like chambray shirts and like jeans with a hoodie and Vans, and he was a music teacher. Like on the same, he was like 5'8", weighed $120 maybe, and nobody messed with him because everybody assumed that his only option was to fight dirty. And so there's a little bit of that guy in there as well.
Hey, speaking of fighting dirty and clean, let's talk to Brandon, doing the choreography for the fighting. Now, I talked to Robert earlier about this film. He was on a tight shooting schedule. How much time did you have with the choreography, and did you let your participants have input on their fighting?
As far as time goes, it was, I believe, about 6+ months, depending on the character. And I did my best to try to, I think I did my best to try to help the actors explore their character and what type of fighting style they really would represent. You know, you had street fighters, and then you had someone that loved knives, and then you had, you had a variety of approaches to fighting. So I think when we were training, when we were doing all the work, it was often just asking them and helping them try to consider what kind of character they were, so we know what type of style to present.
Well, and the really impressive thing about this is we have some people who had martial arts training, but then you had some people who had absolutely no fighting training, like Steph. I mean, you've stabbed people in real life, but you've never punched anybody, and she took to it. And our lead, Christina, she had never, again, she stabbed people, but she never punched anybody, but she was a dancer, and so she could pick up the choreography really quick. But all the actors did such a great job, and everybody was safe because Brandon watched over everybody.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely everyone's watching for each other, and that's one of the things from my martial art background. You know, it is no one wants to come to class and work with someone that might hurt them, and that's something to consider. You know, when we go into a martial art academy, usually people are not trying to hurt each other. It's a pretty common practice to try to take care of each other, and we try to make sure we talked about those types of things. We actually bowed into class when we started training. And it's just getting everyone on the same page and just kind of setting that respect, because you're there to learn together. Everyone's there helping each other out. So
And we took time. Steph, how long did it take with that fight between you and Taylor?
Oh, at least a month, I feel like.
It was, like when we shot, it was like 6 or 8 hours.
That was a long night. I think by the end of it, it was probably 8 hours. hours, 9 hours?
Probably, yeah.
We went way
was-
later than Taylor was happy to be there, so.
Taylor was not happy with me. He let me know at the end of the night.
I feel like I worked for the scene, so.
No, you guys were great.
It was awesome shooting all that stuff at night. It was great shooting all that stuff at night. Being out in the woods and for hours. Well, I guess it was great. I was not one of the actors usually. So I was just hanging out, making sure everyone stayed safe and wasn't popping each other and making sure we were keeping track of weapons and things like that. And I didn't have to place the lights. That's like John and everybody else that was helping out. I just had to watch out for safety. So it was great being out at night and you could put some bug spray on, everybody else was getting eaten up.
Now, Stephanie, we actually saw you in a short here 1 or 2 years ago. We had Matron of Honor here.
Oh, yeah.
Was in here, and I got to see you in Cohabitation as well. You seem to be leaning towards horror, but this one is more action. What is it about the genre that keeps you coming back?
I have always loved horror movies. And Halloween, I guess. So it's always been kind of hand in hand with the makeup and the genre. I love, I guess the reactions are always very bold and very vocal, usually in horror movies, so that's always a treat too.
And you have to kick a lot of ass in this. That's in our monk, no, with the knife there. Was that your knife?
Yes, I actually bought knives specifically for this movie, and I was very happy to have the opportunity to do so.
That's how low budget we were.
Hey, anything to add to my collection, I do not mind whatsoever.
And Jono, you were kind of like the tank of the group. You just kind of came in and you were really the brute force type of guy. What about this character did you enjoy?
Oh, just being a straight up brawler. Like, that was the best part. It's like, no, we don't have to be finessed. We don't have to be nice about it. It doesn't have to look good. It is straight up just power all the way through. So it was a lot nicer than like some of the stricter form of martial arts that I've done before. So it's like, nope, it can be haymakers. It can be whatever we needed for that character.
Awesome.
Well, just one thing. The really great thing about this cast is there was no ego. There was the body slam that, John was a big guy, and you expect a big guy to go, I don't want some little person slamming me. And he goes, nope, I'll do it. And so, Christina did the whole body slam, and there was no ego. And that's what I loved about this cast. You guys are just the greatest. Oh, Carlos. Carlos was Captain Norris, and he's actually military. And that dude has done stuff he can't talk about. Seriously.
I got drunk with him and he cried telling me a story, so it's bad.
But that guy has no ego, and he loves doing it. Him and Christina, when we were shooting the scene where he dies, that's actually based on a real life scene where I was dropping my daughter off at college, and I realized as a protector, I can't be there anymore. The protector has to die. She needs to be herself. So while we're shooting that, I'm like tears running down my face, and then Carlos is getting upset. Meanwhile, Christina, she's just having a good And at the end, we're in the makeup tent, she looks at me and she sees my eyes are a little damp, and she goes, "Oh, you look like you need a hug." Yeah, she gave me a hug.
That's awesome. Do we have any questions from the audience out there? Yes, in the back.
I really like the characterization of the main villain. Was there any particular inspiration behind how the dialogue and how that character was written?
Oh, thank you. First of all, half of that was Jessica Jane Witham. She is such a fantastic actor. I've worked with her. I used to work in video games. I did voiceover for that. So if you've heard Call of Duty, some of that's my work. But I pulled her in for doing stuff in that, and I just got to know her, what a fantastic actor she is. And so when I was working on this film, somehow through the luck of the gods, I managed to get her, and we started going over things, and she goes, "Well, I want to give her a British accent." All right. And just more and more she started taking over, and as a director, that makes me so happy. It's like I'm handing the football off, and she's running it in for a touchdown. And so a lot of that is her. There was no one person that I could pin it on. You'd have to ask her, because it's mostly her. All the clapping and the laughing, she's just so good.
Yeah, take it.
And Zahn also originally wasn't written to specifically be a woman. We actually had Jessica doing her audition for a different character, and after that, myself and a couple other people talked to Bob and were like, we should really have her read for Zahn. We think that would be perfect, and it ended up being phenomenal.
Good call.
Yeah, good call. How was it being assistant director for Robert? Was he a slave driver?
Thank you, April, for being there.
So it's actually really funny. I've worked with Bob before as an extra and just kind of helping. And when he started this project, he asked me if I was interested in proofreading the script. And so that's where I started, was just proofreading the script and just kind of like working as an assistant. And we got to our first reading, and I was getting all of the little placards ready for our names. And I noticed that our assistant director was no longer on the list, and suddenly my name was on the list as the assistant director. And so it's like, Bob, what's happening? What's going on? I got a field promotion, and everybody can tell you one of the biggest things was making sure people signed their contracts, and I had all of their safety information, and getting schedules together, making sure that people were available when they said they were. Spoilers, they're usually not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a longer project than we expected, but we got it done. We pulled it through, even though there were a few times where people were like, I don't think this is gonna get finished. And we were like, Bob and I were like, no, this is gonna happen. We put way too much time into it.
So I'm sorry, dudes, I could talk about this for a whole week, so
He could.
Originally, we had 2 leads, and we shot for 3 months with 2 leads, but one of them was having trouble because of COVID. She was afraid of catching it, which I completely understand. But after a little bit, we talked about it, and she was just getting so nervous about it, so worked up about it. We agreed, okay, it's best if you sit this out. We'll work together on something else. So we paused for 6 weeks. I rewrote the whole script. We threw out pretty much everything we shot over those 3 months and started over. And that was the make or break point that really I was expecting, because if Christina, the one who wound up being the final lead, had said, you know what, I've had enough of this, it's not coming together, but she didn't. She hung in there, and all these people, over 100 people helped make this movie, and everybody hung in there. So thank you, dudes, you guys rock.
Any other questions out there for everyone? Yes, in the back.
Yeah, what do you guys hope to do with the film now?
Well, right now I've gone through Film Hub with it, and we've been picked up, but I can't say by who yet. So, but it's going to be out on digital platforms, and then we'll all get rich and famous.
Anybody else? Well, let's give it up for the boom guy as well, because I did see the boom. And that's already better than some of the big Hollywood films, so mad props. Mad props.
Okay, let me tell one quick story about Aaron. It's after midnight, and we used to haul equipment into the woods. How far was it, like a quarter mile, half mile?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so you gotta walk in the woods, and when it's, 6 or 7, and the sun's starting to go down, you're going, yeah, this is nice and warm, we're fine. By 1 in the morning, it is cold, and like the dew is settling on you, and him and I are walking out, and we're both shivering, and I just remember, dude, you hung in there.
I'm like, you want to go? Yeah, bye.
And he had the least glorious job. He had to stand there and hold the boom while everybody else is having fun.
He has his hat on, his like scarf and coat on. He was miserable.
Forget about the building. The building was cold. Yeah, we did.
That's actually what I was thinking of you in, is the building that we were shooting in. That was in the building, that was inside. Outside was cold.
Oh yeah, it was bad. But yeah, we were all freaking. It was colder inside than outside.
It actually
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
20
It was
degrees in
damp.
that building.
Yeah, there was no heater. We had a heater in the tent. That was it. So if you were cold, you made a run for it. Or you were bundled up, like you'd see us all bundled up. And then all the actors are wearing nothing but regular clothes, and they're on the ground with that little heat vacuum called a concrete floor, you know, and we're just like, that's not good because it's cold, you know.
We had lots of packets of hot hands for people to put in their pockets and in their boots, because otherwise we probably all would have ended up with frostbite.
But I think it should be said that I was never cold, I always had a coat on.
Spoken like a true director. What do you guys complain about? I'm fine.
Did we see some Oshkosh actors in there too?
Oh, yeah. There's a couple Oshkosh. Actually, we've got them in the audience. Yes, I'm going to make you stand up. Yes, Dawn. Stand up. Dawn and Lee in the back. Are scientists as well. Any other questions for you this evening? Well, we thank you for coming out to the Sawdust City Fright Fest. Everybody give one round of applause once again.